The cup hit the marble table harder than it should have, coffee sloshing dangerously close to the rim, and Maya Cole felt the sound ripple through the cafe like a snapped wire. Elliot Cross looked down at the cup, then slowly up at her, his eyes cold and assessing, the way men looked when they were used to rooms folding around them. "Is this a joke?" he asked. "I can replace it," Maya said, already reaching for the cup. He didn't let go. His fingers stayed clamped around the handle. "I didn't ask if you could replace it. I asked if this," he lifted the cup slightly, "was a joke." The air inside Vireo went tight. Conversations nearby died mid-sentence. Someone's cutlery froze halfway to their mouth. Maya could feel her pulse in her ears, loud and embarrassing. "It's not a joke," she said carefully. "It's coffee. If it's not hot enough, I'll fix it." Elliot laughed once, short and sharp. "You don't tell me what it is. You listen." Maya straightened. She didn't mean to, it just happened. "I am listening." That was when he smiled, and she knew she'd stepped on something invisible and expensive. "You're doing a terrible job," he said, louder now. "Do you know that? Or does this place hire people who can't tell the difference between warm and hot?" Maya glanced toward the counter. Rick, her manager, had already gone pale. He shook his head at her, barely noticeable, a silent plea. "I can bring you another cup," she repeated. "No," Elliot said. "Now you're going to stand there and explain why I should accept incompetence." Her chest tightened. Rent was due. The eviction notice was folded in her locker. Her mother's hospital bills still lived like ghosts in her phone notifications. She could apologize. She could lower her head. Everyone expected that. Instead, she heard herself say, "Because speaking to people like this doesn't make the coffee hotter." The silence that followed felt heavier than the insult. If you're already hooked, this is the moment to like the video and subscribe, because this story doesn't slow down from here. Elliot stared at her as if she'd spoken a foreign language. "What did you just say?" "I said I'll replace the coffee," Maya replied, her voice steady in a way that surprised even her. "But you don't get to talk to me like I'm nothing." A sharp intake of breath came from somewhere behind her. Rick stepped forward. "Maya, that's enough. I'll handle this." Elliot lifted a hand without looking at him. "No, I want to hear her finish." Maya felt heat rush to her face. "I'm doing my job. If you don't like the coffee, that's fine, but insulting me won't fix it." Elliot pushed the cup away. "You're fired." Rick opened his mouth immediately. "Yes, sir. I'm so sorry, sir. She doesn't represent—" "I didn't say now," Elliot said. He stood, adjusting his jacket, suddenly all calm again. "I said, she will be." He reached into his wallet, placed a stack of bills on the table, and slid them toward the edge. "Bring the check." Maya didn't move. "I said, bring the check," he repeated. She picked it up, her hands shaking now, and walked to the counter. Rick hissed under his breath, "What were you thinking?" "I was thinking I'm tired," she said quietly. When she returned, Elliot took the receipt, glanced at it, then scribbled something. He stood, leaned in just enough for only her to hear, and said, "Courage is expensive. Let's see if you can afford it." He left the money on the table. When Maya looked down, her breath caught. $4,000. As he walked away, he slipped a small black card into her apron pocket. "Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Rick snatched the card out as soon as Elliot was gone. "You're done here. I can't protect you from people like that." Maya nodded. "I know." That night, she sat on the edge of her bed, eviction notice open, the black card between her fingers. One name was printed in silver. Jonah. A number beneath it. Nothing else. At exactly 9 the next morning, Maya stepped into a glass tower overlooking the bay. The lobby smelled like money and restraint. a man in a tailored suit approached her. "Maya Cole?" "Yes." "I'm Jonah Reed. Follow me." They rode an elevator in silence. When the doors opened, he led her into a room with a single table and a view that made the city look small. "Before we start," Jonah said, "you should know the video from yesterday has 12 million views." Maya swallowed. "I didn't film it." "We know," he replied, "but it changed things." He slid a tablet across the table. Headlines, screenshots, think pieces. "Elliot Cross doesn't lose control in public," Jonah continued. "Except yesterday when a waitress didn't bend." "What do you want from me?" Maya asked. Jonah leaned back. 3 months of your time, $90,000. Half today."
"For what?"
"To stand next to him," Jonah said. "Smile. Be seen." Maya laughed once. "You fired me." "He fired the waitress," Jonah corrected. "We're offering the woman something else." She stared at the city beyond the glass. "And if I say no?" Jonah folded his hands. "Then the board votes next week, Elliot loses everything, and you go home to an empty apartment." Maya looked back at him. "You don't even know me." Jonah smiled thinly. "We know your debts, your eviction date, and the fact that you didn't apologize yesterday. If you're still watching, comment below what you would have done in her place, because this next choice changes everything." Maya didn't answer right away. She sat back in the chair, arms crossed, letting the silence stretch until Jonah shifted. "You're asking me to pretend," she said finally. "I'm asking you to perform," Jonah replied. "There's a difference." "And if he talks to me the way he did yesterday?" Jonah didn't hesitate. "That's off the table." Maya laughed again, softer this time. "Funny how quickly that rule appears." Jonah slid a document across the table. "Non-disclosure, temporary contract, exit clause if boundaries are violated." She skimmed it, eyes sharp. "Half up front." Jonah raised an eyebrow. "You negotiate like a lawyer." "I used to be one," she said. He nodded once. "We'll transfer it today." 2 hours later, Maya stood in front of a concrete and glass estate that looked more like a bunker than a home. The gates opened without a sound. Inside, Elliot Cross waited, hands in his pockets, expression unreadable. "You look different without the apron," he said. "You look the same," Maya replied. A flicker of something passed through his eyes. "Good. This isn't personal." "Then don't make it," she said. They stood there, measuring each other. Finally, Elliot turned. "Rules. We don't touch unless cameras are present. We don't lie to each other in private. And you don't forget why you're here." Maya followed him inside. "And you don't raise your voice at me again." He stopped walking. Slowly, he turned back. "That won't happen." The transformation began immediately. Clothes replaced uniforms, posture replaced apology. A stylist adjusted her shoulders and whispered, "Don't shrink." Elliot watched from across the room. "She needs less softness." Maya met his gaze. "I need fewer opinions." The stylist froze. Elliot nodded. "Fair." That night, over a quiet dinner neither of them touched, Elliot finally spoke. "Someone inside Atlas is leaking information." "Why tell me?" Maya asked. "Because they'll come for you," he said. "You're unpredictable." "So I'm bait." "Yes." She considered that. "Then be honest." "I will," Elliot said. "In private." The gala came faster than she expected. Lights, cameras, smiles sharpened into weapons. Maya felt eyes on her from every direction. Elliot's hand rested lightly at her back, performative, controlled. A man approached, younger than the rest, nervous energy buzzing around him. "You shouldn't be here," he whispered to Maya, slipping something into a palm. What? She asked. Trust no one, he said, then vanished into the crowd. When she opened her hand later, it wasn't a number, it was an address. Vireo Cafe. Elliot noticed her stillness. What is it? Nothing, she said, then added, Someone mentioned your coffee. He studied her face. Careful. On the drive home, he spoke quietly. No one named Caleb works in R&D. Maya stared out the window. Then why did he know my name? The safe house was supposed to be secure. It wasn't. The lights cut out without warning. The door slammed open. Jonah stepped inside, gun raised, smile gone. I hoped you'd stay predictable, he said. Elliot's voice was calm. You won't get away with this. Jonah laughed. I already have. He grabbed Maya, pulling her close. Tell him. Maya swallowed. The key isn't at Atlas. Elliot turned sharply. Maya, it's at the cafe, she said, in the POS system. Jonah's grin widened. Smart girl. If you're still watching, don't forget to like and subscribe. The ending lands hard, and you don't want to miss it. They went back to Vireo just before dawn, the city still half asleep, streets damp from the night fog. The cafe looked smaller than Maya remembered, stripped of its audience, its power reduced to locked glass doors and silent machines. Jonah shoved her forward. Don't get clever. She didn't answer. Her heart was pounding, but her hands were steady as she keyed in the employee access code Rick had once insisted she memorize. The door clicked open. Inside, the lights came on, one by one. The espresso machine hummed to life, familiar and grounding. Where? Jonah demanded. Maya walked behind the counter. The terminal, she said. It routes payment data through a mirrored drive. That's where Elliot hid it. Elliot watched her closely. You never told me you could do this. You never asked, she replied. Jonah pressed the gun harder against her back. Enough talking. Maya reached for the terminal, fingers flying. As the screen loaded, she spoke calmly. You know what's funny? Jonah scoffed. This isn't a monologue. You trusted the wrong things, she continued. Titles, offices, vaults. The machine hissed, steam building. Jonah glanced down for half a second. That was all it took. Maya swung the steam wand upward, releasing a violent burst. Jonah screamed, stumbling back, dropping the gun. Elliot lunged, knocking it away. Jonah recovered just long enough to rush her, but Maya grabbed the portafilter and drove it into his shoulder. He collapsed, breath knocked out of him, rage turning into shock. Sirens wailed in the distance. Maya's hands shook now as she stepped back, phone pressed to her ear. Yes, she said. He's here. When it was over, Jonah was in cuffs, shouting promises that no one listened to. The cafe was chaos again, but this time it felt earned. Elliot stood beside Maya as the police finished their questions. I resigned, he said quietly. She turned to him. Already? I kept ownership, he added, but not the throne. She studied his face. Why? Because control built this, Elliot said, and it almost destroyed me. He hesitated, then said, I'm open sourcing the system. Maya exhaled slowly. That won't make you popular. I'm done chasing that, he replied. They stood there in the quiet aftermath, the smell of burnt coffee and adrenaline hanging in the air. I'm investing in a restaurant, Elliot said suddenly. Maya laughed, despite herself. Of course you are. I want a partner, he said. Someone who knows what it's like on both sides of the counter. She looked at him, really looked. I'll think about it. That was her power now. choice. She stepped outside as the sun crept over the skyline. The same place that tried to make her small had failed. If you made it this far, drop a comment and tell me what moment hit you the hardest. And don't forget to subscribe. Stories like this only work when you stay to the end.